going to go ahead and cover food labels. I'm going to guess that you have been to the store with a grown-up and you may have seen something that looks like this on the back of your food. Now, keep in mind, because I can't come to China this year, I'm using a United States label. In China, I did see them last year. Every country has different guidelines or rules for nutritional labels. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the United States labels because they're the only ones I have access to right now because I ate all of my Chinese food products that I brought home last year. So let's go ahead and get started. The nutritional label is there on purpose to help you understand what you're putting into your body. It lets you know what type of nutrients or minerals or calories are going to be involved with that food. It also lets you know if there's a lot of salt or sugar in the food. So that's why it's very important, because too many of the wrong thing can be very bad for you. So let's go ahead and look at some labels. So how do we actually read a food label? This is where it's a little crazy. I have an example on the screen and it has the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the first thing we start with is where you see the number 1, we start with the serving information. So in this whole container, how many servings will one person have, or how many servings are in this box? So right now, the one I'm looking at says 3 servings per container. So that means that there are three people could eat from this one box as a serving. So the serving size on my box right here says it's about 2.5 ounces, which is what, roughly 70 grams? The label that you see on the screen says that the serving size is 2/3 cup or 55 grams. Now, a little secret, in the United States, a lot of people don't understand metrics. So we have 2 different things on our labels. So again, the label you're looking at on the screen, 8 servings, meaning I can eat 8 times, or this, and then the serving size is 55 grams. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. Okay, number 2, that is the calorie count. And remember when we talked about calories yesterday, and that's where the energy comes from? So you still have to watch calories, because calories, if you have too many and you're not getting enough exercise, then it could impact you the wrong way. You could develop some health problems if you're not getting enough exercise. So the total calories are on my box. Now this one's a little weird, and I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you can see it. This one says 260, but then it confuses us and it says it's 350. What's the deal? So if you look really close at this, is because I haven't cooked this yet. So if I do it without the cheese and the milk and the butter, it's going to be 260 calories. And it says in little teeny tiny letters, dry. That means it's not cooked. But once I add all the good stuff to make this a really tasty meal, it's going to be 360 calories because I have added butter, I have added milk, and I have added cheese. So that's something to think about. So sometimes your labels will have 2 columns, 3 columns, depending on what you're doing. Okay? So let's get back to what we're doing. So you have to look at the calorie count, because the calories tell you how many, well, it's going to be per serving. So that's the other trick you got to do. So let's look at the one we have on the screen. It says it's 230 calories, 8 servings. So if I ate this entire box of whatever this is on the screen, 8 times 230, that's a lot of calories. And if I did my my BMR, and it should say maybe 1,600 calories, well then I'm going to be way over just from eating this one item. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. Okay, line number 3. It says limit certain nutrients. Now what this means is if you look at all those little numbers on there, it says total fat 8 grams, saturated fat 1 gram, trans fat 0 grams. Keep in mind, every country's different. China, I don't think lists some of those things on there. So that's just something to kind of remember. So if you ever come to the United States, we got a lot of stuff on the labels because we have to. Not all fats are bad, so a lot of people think, oh, that's a bad thing because it's going to make me not healthy. Well, no, not necessarily, because some fats are actually good for your body. And then sugar. Sugar is something that we all have to think about because some sugars are bad and some sugars are good. Now, if I eat an apple and I bite in and it's sweet, that's a good sugar. But if I eat a candy bar and it's got a lot of extra sugar in it, that's not so good. So you got to keep that in mind. So total sugars can include on the label, it says total sugars 12 grams. So that can be total sugars of natural and added sugar. Okay? And you'll see that a lot on cereal boxes. And then the next one down below that is protein, and protein is what your body needs to help develop strong muscles and keep you healthy. So in this case, the label says 3 grams. So just keep that in mind. Any questions so far? If you do, raise your hand. We'll get them answered because this can go back on pause if we have to replay it again. Okay, area number 4 on the label. This is what we call our daily vitamin allowance. And this part's really important, especially because you're young. It's really important that you get a certain amount of vitamin D, that's good for your bones, calcium, good for your bones, iron, good for your whole body, and potassium. And these are things that help your body. These are nutrients or minerals that can be found in nature, can be found in other sources, but your body needs them, and it's just really good for you. Magnesium is another one. So you might see a whole bunch of different minerals listed at the bottom, and that's just letting you know what this is. So that would be dietary fiber, and it can be a many long list. This label I have from China, it actually has some of the similar minerals on there. Luckily that's written in English so I can read it. Okay, now the thing at the very bottom is called the daily value, and your body needs 100% of vitamins. Now it means that if I eat something and it gives me a daily vitamin count, what it's really doing is it tells me that if I really want that fiber, like if we look back at the iron, it says 8 milligrams, but on the right side of it, it says 45%. So it has to equal 100%. So if I want lots of iron, that's only 45% of what my body needs for an entire day. The vitamin D, it says 10%. My body needs 100% vitamin D, so I might have to drink an extra glass of milk to get that vitamin D. Same thing with calcium. Your body needs calcium, especially since you're still growing and you want strong bones and to be healthy. So that's what that is. Now, potassium, your body also needs potassium. The other way you can get potassium is just grab a banana, because that's a great way to get potassium. Only 6% of what your body needs is in this label, whatever this is from this label. So that's how to read that label. So let's go ahead and move on. Here's a couple more samples. As you can see, a lot of different things coming up. The one that's the second one over here, I'm not seeing anything too terribly bad. 1 gram of sugar. This other label has 1 gram of sugar. Sodium is not terrible. I don't like to have a lot of sodium. Sodium is salt. It's not always good for your body. This one, 37 grams of carbohydrates, 160 grams of sodium. So what we're going to do is I'm going to look at this one right here. Oh boy, here we go. If I'm going to zoom in on this one, if you look at sodium, it says 1,820 grams. That's a lot of sodium. Wow, that is a lot of sodium, but I love this. Okay, this one, 710 milligrams of sodium after I make this macaroni and cheese recipe. This one here, 1,008 milligrams of sodium. So the thing I really look at is the sodium and the added sugar, because that's the stuff. Everybody loves sugar, and sodium's not so good for your body. Too much of it anyway. So that's always what I look at when I'm looking at the labels. So you're going to have an activity right now. You're going to be given a label, and you are going to have to analyze that label. If you finish early, you can grab another copy and do a different product. These are all going to be products that you're probably familiar with, things like cookies and cereal and ketchup. So there's things that I know I've seen in China, and hopefully that you'll be able to use the American food label and you can look at it and analyze it. And we're going to look at one more label before I let you get started on your activity. This label that you see in front of you, you have two soups. They're both vegetable soup, but which one's better? They both have 160 calories. Grams of fat are 4. And then you get down to that sodium. And if you are a person that is struggling with sodium, maybe because it's affecting your health, then the can that's on the left, you might notice it says 680 milligrams of sodium. Meanwhile, the one on the right says it's 340 milligrams of sodium. So that's why you have to really read your labels, because some things are just not good for you. So I hope that answers some questions. I hope you enjoy this activity. It's a lot of fun. So that way, as we get into tomorrow when you're planning out your menu, I think that you'll really enjoy this. Please be sure you ask if you have any questions. I'll talk to you soon.